Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible economic pivots happening anywhere on the planet. We're talking about the Gulf Cooperation Council's massive shift towards sustainability. And what's really fascinating is that they're not just seeing this as a responsibility, but as the main engine for their future growth. So let's see what that really looks like.
To really get a sense of the scale here, let's just start with one number, $2 trillion. Get this, that's the potential boost to the GCC's GDP from all these sustainability initiatives by 2030. A number that big tells you right away, this isn't just about environmental policy, this is a full-blown economic revolution.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the big picture, the blueprints for this new era. Then, we'll look at the absolutely massive projects taking shape on the ground. After that, we'll explore the new green economy that's popping up, and finally, we'll take a peek into the future.
All right, first up, the blueprints. This is all about the high-level strategy, the big thinking that's pushing the entire region to map out a future that goes way beyond oil and gas.
You know, at its heart, this whole transformation comes down to a pretty simple reality. The old way of doing things, the economy built on hydrocarbons, well, it's incredibly powerful, but it's also at the mercy of wild price swings. The new model? It's all about building something that's diversified, sustainable, and way more resilient. We're talking new industries, green jobs, the whole shebang, something that can handle whatever the future throws at it.
And you know, this isn't some flash-in-the-pan idea. The groundwork for this has been laid for over a decade. It started way back with Qatar's 2030 vision in 2008. Then you had the game-changing Saudi Vision 2030, and more recently, the UAE's net zero strategy. These are serious, long-term national plans that form the backbone of this whole movement.
And if you want to see just how ambitious this is, look no further than the UAE's commitment to hit net zero by 2050. That was a huge moment. It set a really high bar for the rest of the region and basically told the world, hey, we plan on leading this energy transition, not following.
Okay, so we've seen the big picture plans. Now let's get into how these visions are actually being built. We're moving from paper to projects, turning these ambitious ideas into a concrete reality.
So you have to ask, right? What does a transformation this huge actually look like on the ground? How do you take a national vision and make it something you can, well, touch?
Well, it looks like this. Mega projects that are just on an unbelievable scale. I mean, we're talking about entire smart cities like Neom being built from scratch to run on 100% renewable energy. We're talking about the world's largest solar parks and cities like Masdar and Lusail that are designed from day one with sustainability literally built into their DNA. And it's not just solar and wind. The region is making a massive bet on green hydrogen. And the strategy here is just brilliant. They're planning to use all that sun and space to become a global exporter of clean fuel. They're essentially aiming to pivot from being a leader in today's energy to a leader in tomorrow's energy.
Of course, none of this happens without a ton of money and some really smart technology. And that brings us to the emerging green economy, the financial and tech engines that are making all of this possible.
So how is all this being paid for? Well, one of the key tools is something called a green sukuk. Put simply, it's a type of bond that follows Islamic financial principles, and it's designed to raise money specifically for projects that are good for the environment. It's a perfect example of the financial world innovating to match these green ambitions.
And it's really clear where that money is going. We're seeing massive growth projected for investment in renewable energy. Green hydrogen is getting a ton of support, and sustainable infrastructure is seeing steady growth too. This isn't random. It's a super focused strategy, pouring capital into the pillars of this new economy.
It's also about a whole new way of thinking, called the circular economy. This is so much more than just recycling. It's about completely redesigning how we use stuff. First, you design products so they don't create waste in the first place. Then, you keep materials in use for as long as humanly possible. And finally, you work to actually help natural systems regenerate. It's a game changer.
And the secret sauce that makes all of this work? Technology. AI is being used to make energy grids incredibly efficient. New agricultural tech, like vertical farming, is helping tackle food security in the desert. And behind the scenes, you have software that tracks all the environmental and social data, which keeps everything transparent and builds confidence for investors.
So that brings us to our final stop, looking ahead. With all this momentum, what's next for sustainability in the GCC?
Well, if we look at where things stand right now, you can see the foundations are already rock solid, especially when it comes to strong policies and a ton of investment. And the projections out to 2030 show huge growth pretty much everywhere else, in new tech, market readiness, you name it.
The path forward is pretty clear, and it looks like things are only going to speed up.
Which really leaves us with one final big thought. As the entire world is scrambling to find a path to a sustainable future, the GCC is right in the middle of one of the boldest, best-funded transitions on Earth. And it makes you wonder, as we all look for answers, could the actual blueprint be found right here, written in the sands of the Gulf? Thanks for tuning in.